Hi, I'm Pat Barnard, Group Managing Editor for TMC. I'm here at IT Expo West, and I'm joined with Vince Bradley, President and CEO of WTG Energent. How you doing, Vince? Welcome.
Doing great. Thanks for having me today. Really appreciate the time.
So why don't you start off by providing us with a brief overview of WTG Energent?
Absolutely. So Commerce Consulting Corporation is actually the corporate umbrella.
Okay.
And World Telecom Group, otherwise known as WTG, is our telecom division.
Okay.
Where Energent is our energy division.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And what do you guys do?
We're actually a master agent of telecommunications services.
Okay.
So we're a distribution channel of over 2,000 agents nationwide that go out and design networks and implement them on behalf of their customers.
Okay, great. And I understand you made an announcement here at IT Expo. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. There's been a few announcements we've made.
Okay.
The first one on the telecom side of the business would be the fact that we are very excited to announce we can actually now market and sell telecom services in any populated area around the globe.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pretty excited about that.
Including Antarctica?
Populated.
Just kidding.
So,
right.
again.
Yeah. Okay, great. And were there other announcements that you made as well?
Yes, definitely. We announced the addition of our CFO, CIO, Jeremy Hopkins, who is going to be doing some very high-level automation within the company.
Okay.
And including CRM, as well as a few other projects.
Okay.
We also announced in our energy division, very exciting, a couple different things. One of them was the fact that we now have over 10 providers in the energy division, which is a very deep portfolio in that space.
Right.
We also launched our demand-side management division as well, and what that does is demand-side management includes the retrofitting of lighting, the consulting, etc. And because of the lack of ubiquity of the deregulation of electricity and natural gas in the energy division, you really don't have a national play like you do in telecom.
Right.
And so for that reason, we see demand-side management as what I call the third dimension of energy. And it's exciting because our distribution channel can now tap into the energy business and go ahead and talk to customers about their lighting equipment, about consulting, etc., as opposed to waiting until those states that their clients are in deregulate.
Okay, great. Provide me with a little more detail about what the energy division specifically does on behalf of utilities.
Absolutely. It's very similar to the telecom division in terms that it's a distribution channel.
Right.
And so what we've got is, instead of telecom services, we've got energy services.
Right.
As a visionary, back in the 90s, I looked at the utility industry as a very attractive area. And I had a vision for doing utility management. And so, with the CTC charges and with the, Enron and things like that happened, kind of moved away from the space. But with the downturn a couple years ago, I felt, this is a great time to get into the energy space. And some people in the industry agree with me when I said that the IT manager, I predict, will be making decisions on energy just like they are on telecom today. So that's going to happen, I think, within the next 3 to 5 years. And so as a result of that, no better time to go ahead and get into that space. And so we've gone out and built a really nice portfolio of providers. And our agents can actually either upsell energy services to their existing clients.
Right.
And actually selling fixed rate electricity, for example, is actually easier than selling telecom. It's a billing change. You don't do customer service, the utility does.
Right.
And it's a very simple sale, quite frankly. Good new profit center. Most importantly for our agents, it helps them retain their customer base by adding and bundling another product and service into that base. So that's kind of the main focus. And then we've also got a lot of other agent partners in the Energent division who are actually focusing entirely on energy.
Right. So yeah. It's amazing to me how much the energy sector has changed in recent years as a result of some of the regulatory changes that you spoke of.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see some of these new competitors coming out, some of them seemingly almost out of nowhere, going up against these incumbents. This is why we could speak to the trend in general.
Yeah, I think what's happening is you're seeing, again, back to that vision that I talked about, you're seeing a shift right now where the facility manager is being kind of moved into the middle of the mix. And so with the IT manager and with energy and telecom sort of converging, and I spoke about this earlier today, that convergence is what's causing an effect where, with the consolidation, with the economic downturn, there's less resources at the company's level, and they need to start looking at these two things as one. And so that's sort of pushing some of the deregulation to occur in the electricity space. And I think that people are wanting to be more efficient, certainly in this economy, and that's also driving that. And I think that also, frankly, there's a need for the economy to look at more regulation out there today to sort of help subsidize their budgets in their states, frankly. So.
Okay, great. Tell me a little bit about more of the session that you spoke at. Was that part of the Smart Grid Summit by any chance?
Actually, it was part of the Channel Vision sessions.
Okay.
And so it was more coming from the telecom side.
Right.
But again, that's one of the areas where we specialize is we've got a really well-established telecom master agency with over 100 providers.
Right.
So we're covering the globe, as I said.
Right.
And with the wireless division and looking at 4G and the ubiquity of that rolling out, the mobility.
Right.
But getting back to your question, so really the convergence, what's happening is that you're starting to see where the client is starting to look at their trusted advisor in the telecom space and saying, well, you know what, I can look to those guys as well for my energy needs. And so that's kind of where they've gone with that.
Right.
I don't know if that answered the question exactly, but
no, it
does.
does.
On it.
It does. But we do have this Smart Grid Summit that we ran here. And it's funny, I mean, I realize it's not directly related, but at the same time, it's interesting that you're sort of talking about these same two things that are now coming together uniquely in this space. I mean, basically, Smart Grid is all about overlaying a communications network over the existing grid infrastructure.
Yes.
Does that create any synergies or any opportunities in terms of your reseller, your agent network, and in terms of producing opportunities for cross-sell or upsell?
Yes, absolutely. For example, we do distribute an open source IP PBX globally. And so if you look at it, the power that's supporting those systems, right?
Right.
Is really right there. That's the layer. So the way I look at it is that's another perspective to look at it from is like the very power that's powering those computers and those systems is actually eventually going to integrate, IP-based lighting systems, things like that, where the convergence of equipment and energy are going to occur.
Right.
And so I think that's really where the three come together.
Yeah.
You've got the telecom, you've got the energy, and you've got the equipment side. All three are converging into that smart grid space.
Right, yeah.
So.
And I realize this isn't directly related to what you do, again, but I just figured I'd point out the trend and the fact that I sort of see a parallel between what you're doing and the fact that these two things are starting to come together.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I think that, a lot of people in the industry and both sides of it are excited about this convergence because it's been something that they've been waiting for some time. And I think that with the cloud, the cloud computing is just exploding, and that's also helping that conversation.
Right.
Where, hosted VoIP is getting more popular, cloud computing is getting really popular, and as a result of that, it's making it easier for that converged shift to occur. So,
okay, great. Okay, good. What have you gotten out of the show? I think you said that you're exhibiting. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So what was the interest level like at your booth, and what were some of the types of questions and the level of interest that you were getting from the attendees?
Well, we have two booths. We have our telecom booth and our energy booth. And in the telecom booth, it was a lot of that cloud theme. A lot of, where are things moving right now?
Right.
What do you see as the shift? And coming from the telecom side, where we've gone to some of the telecom shows, a lot of the questions were more for maybe the VARs who were curious about, well, how do I, coming from that cloud perspective or that hosted perspective, how do I get into telecom? And really, frankly, what's nice for them is that, voice is just an application of data. So it's no longer that conversation of, do I need a voice connection or whatever. It's really more about, how do I tap into the data network?
Right.
And how do I, enable the cloud, enabling applications into the cloud to succeed.
Right.
So it was really a conversation about sort of that next higher level. And so again, going back to the theme of the convergence of the industries once again.
Yeah.
That was really the main theme of the questions we got in the telecom booth. We do have a award-winning wireless and mobility division, and so there were some questions about that too. I got my Speed Racer ad up there, the 4G pass on the Speed Racer, and I've got that in my booth. And so people come up and say, "Wow, tell me about this." Voice over wireless is the theme on my banner in my booth. And so it's people love to come up and ask that question.
Okay.
So we had good conversations about how 4G is proliferating throughout the entire U.S. Now at the edge markets like New York and Los Angeles. And so, a lot of questions about that. In the energy booth, it was really more about, why are you here?
Right, yeah.
How do you see, a lot of things we talked about, how do you see the connection between the two? And that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that was a more basic conversation going on in that booth.
Okay. All right, great. So. Okay, well, thanks very much for joining us. We've been talking to Vince Bradley, President and CEO of WTG Energent, coming to you from IT Expo West in Los Angeles. Thanks again, Vince.
Thank you.